Hey guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the secondary weapon, the dual Toxocyst. Now in this weapon series, I take a weapon, I build it out, and I test that weapon on its own merits. Meaning I don't mix it with any kind of external factors that would increase weapon performance. That would be things like Warframes using abilities, pets putting statuses on enemies, things like that. I just test a weapon built out by itself and I let the viewers make their own intelligent conclusions about adding those external things. So this is actually the second video we're doing on the dual Toxocyst. The first one was a few months ago. Since then, there's been a status rework, there's been some patches, and also after reviewing it, I always review my videos like a few weeks or a few months after, and I say, hey, if I went back and I did this, could I do it a little bit better? And there was some minor tweaks I could have made to make it better, and so that's what we're doing it today. So the rework of the Toxocyst was suggested to us by commenter the noob 4909. We have the top commenter of the last video, Skyflower, and the first commenter of the last video. This guy's got a really long name. A random person who eats pie, or who would eat pie. Interesting. All right. So the dual Toxocysts are like these infested dual pistols. They are incredibly powerful. I would probably say these are top 5 weapons in the game. I feel like these are top 5 strongest weapons in the game. So, all right, let's get into the build here. But I also want to go over the innate and unique things about this weapon first. So the first thing I want to go over is the dual Toxocyst's unique trait, Frenzy. And there's a lot to it. So there's what it says here, and there's a little bit extra as well. So I'm just going to read it off of my notes that I have here. So, Frenzy. On a headshot, you get 150% fire rate, 100% ammo efficiency, negative 75% recoil, and plus 100% toxin damage for 3 seconds. And headshots can keep refreshing this. So as long as you're headshotting, you're refreshing this. So, very, very powerful buff. This also goes into the Incarnate as well. So this works in and out of Incarnate mode. Now, because this gives us Toxin, this allows us to only use a single mod slot to make Viral. But also keep in mind, Gas would be a pretty decent one to make too. Instead of Cold, you would do the Heat to make Gas. But we're going to be doing Viral on this build. So this Toxin will just mix with the 60-60 Cold we have to make Viral. All right, other unique things about the dual Toxocyst is in Incarnate mode, it becomes fully automatic, has increased stats, and shots will ricochet to one nearby enemy within 5 meters per shot. And the ricochets prioritize headshots. The ricochets actually try to headshot things, which is kind of cool. So, yeah, very powerful. Let's go over the regular mods that we have on here now. So we have Galvanized Diffusion for multi-shot. We have Galvanized Shot for status chance and direct damage per status type affecting the target. Galvanized Shot is going to be used with our Arcane for very, very high levels of damage increase. So I'm going to skip a little bit ahead to the Arcane we're using, which of course is Secondary Cucumber. This is a weird Arcane that a lot of times we do not use. But on this weapon, it is extremely good. This is like the poster boy of Secondary Cucumber is the dual Toxocyst. So let's read Secondary Cucumber here. On a status effect, plus 24% chance to trigger a second random status effect. So, like, we're going Viral. So when we put Viral on, 24% of the time, it's just going to roll and pick another random status. Like, it could be Radiation, it could be Toxic, it could be whatever, and it's going to put it on the enemy. Okay, well, why is this powerful? Well, it's powerful because, we go back to Galvanized Shot. So this is 80 status chance and 40% direct damage per unique status type affecting the target, stacking 3 times. So that's 120% flat damage per status type. So if we have 10 different status types on the enemy, that's 1,200% flat damage. So that's why this can be very, very powerful with this weapon. Now, the reason that Galvanized Shot and Secondary Cucumber aren't always used on like every secondary weapon is because there's a few things that you kind of have to check for. The weapon needs to be fast firing, high status chance, and high multi-shot. Now, it doesn't have to be all of those 3 things at once, but it really should be at least 2 out of 3 of those things. So the dual Toxocyst is high fire rate, it's high status chance, and it's average multi-shot. So the dual Toxocyst, it doesn't even have all three of those. It has two of those things. But just having two of those things is enough, and it's very, very powerful. All right. So Galvanized Shot, or Galvanized Crosshair, sorry, we're going for critical chance. Hornet Strike, we're going for flat damage. Now this slot right here has a few options for it, and I'll go over the options. And then also at the end of the day, this is your Riven slot. This is like the best place you could be putting a Riven. So let me type in the other one here. Okay, so for this slot, it's really between Hornet Strike and Sharpened Bullets. Do you need more flat damage? Hell no. You don't really need more flat damage because you're probably going to be getting a crap load of it from Galvanized Shot. But on starting Steel Path, like on weaker enemies that are going to die in like a couple of hits anyway, Hornet Strike allows them to die in 1 or 2 hits instead of having to ramp up with Secondary Encumber. But as you get more into Steel Path, dudes aren't going to die in 1 hit even with Hornet Strike, and at that point Sharpened Bullets kind of like starts becoming way better than Hornet Strike. So kind of dependent on the content you're doing. Are you doing higher levels of Steel Path? Like, are you going to be in there for like 3+ hours in a survival? Then Sharpened Bullets would definitely be better than Hornet Strike. Are you doing like an hour or under? Probably Hornet Strike will be better. Like I said, they're super close, and at the end of the day, this is your Riven slot, so if you don't want to think too much about it, you could just put either of these two in there and then just replace it with a Riven when you finally get one. So I'm just going to put Hornet Strike, but Sharpened Bullets, really close, and probably better in higher levels of Steel Path. Okay. Next slot here. Primed Pistol Gambit. 187% crit chance. We're going to use a crit chance and a crit damage mod, but I want to kind of go back to this crit chance mod and explain why I'm not using the one I usually do. So if I type in critical, it'll bring up this one, Creeping Bullseye. If you watch my videos, I use Creeping Bullseye a lot of times on secondary weapons. So this one is 200% crit chance, and this one is 187. So 13% more crit chance, but it gives you negative fire rate. On most weapons, you don't really notice that negative fire rate. And it'll actually say, on this weapon, you don't really notice a negative fire rate either. But like we were saying with the Galvanized Shot and Secondary Cucumber combo, you really want high fire rate, high status chance, and high multi-shot. So like fire rate is one of those like 3 godly stats that makes this combo work. So I don't want to be taking 20% fire rate from it. Even though I can't really see my weapon shooting that much slower, I still don't want it. I want to produce as many statuses to get more flat damage. So I feel like for this weapon in particular, Prime Pistol Gambit beats it out. So with our build, it's an orange and like barely red crit build. Our red crits must be at like 1 or 2% because I barely see them. But it's a pretty much like 100% orange crit build. If you were to use Creeping Bullseye, the red crits would probably be like, it would go from like a 1 or a 2% to like a 5-ish%. So it's still probably really low. So I think for that reason, Prime Pistol Gambit is your better choice there. Prime Target Cracker for crit damage. Lethal Torrent for fire rate multi-shot. And Frostbite for our 60-60 cold. This is going to mix with that Toxic we got up here to make viral. So the reason I feel cold is the best is because you're going to be getting a metric butt ton of random statuses on the enemy. All kinds of weird stuff. But if I could guarantee a status, like if I had to pick one status that I could guarantee on a weapon like this, I would guarantee viral, because even a single stack of viral does so much for your weapon. So I feel like Frostbite is your better choice here, but there's also an argument to be made that viral only stacks to 10. A lot of times though, dudes are going to die before you even shoot them 10 times, so they're going to die before they're at 10 stacks, but there is that argument that you could make that viral only stacks to 10. There's a fast firing weapon. You could go with gas instead. So gas and viral, very, very close. On level cap, dots tend to beat out like regular damage, because regular damage just doesn't work after a certain point. Like once enemies are a few thousand levels high, like 4 or 5,000 levels high, damage doesn't really work anymore, and so dots are really the way to go. So in that case, gas would probably be better, but I think before that, viral will probably eke it out. Alrighty. Eggless slot here. We're going to be using targeting subsystems. There's not very many good eggless mods for the dual Toxocyst. So this is going to reduce our recoil by negative 75%. And one of the evolution tiers that we'll get into after this will completely get rid of the rest of the negative recoil or the recoil that we have. So we don't have to worry about using steady hands to get rid of that recoil. And we don't need ammo because it's an incarnate weapon. So there's not really anything in the eggs list that we need. So targeting subsystems is on hit. You get plus 30 accuracy when you're aiming for 9 seconds. Doesn't sound very exciting. It isn't very exciting. But this weapon is not really pinpoint. It's actually kind of spraying all over the place. It's like kind of inaccurate. And so targeting subsystem does help to kind of bring that spread a little bit tighter so you're hitting more headshots. And so I feel like targeting subsystems is decent. It's decent. But it's a very minor increase. Like you could probably get if you wanted to be cheap and not use like a Forma or to save some capacity, you could probably just get away with using no eggless mod if you really wanted to. All right, in the arcane, we're using a secondary cucumber. I think you guys already know that. We talked about it already. So yeah, that's the build for the dual Toxocyst there. I want to go over the evolutions real quick here. So first evolution is nothing. You've just unlocked the weapon. Congratulations. Second evolution. These are both good options. I'm going to go over the one I picked first. Carnage Rain increases base damage by plus 60. And you get plus 33% direct damage per status type affecting the target. So it's kind of like a mini version of the Galvanized Shot. So we're kind of building for that anyway, so this is just always going to work for us. So that's why I picked Carnage Rain. But let's go over the other one. The other one's still pretty decent. Fevered Frenzy. Increases your base damage by plus 50. So instead of 60, this one is 50. And on ability cast, you get plus 5 multi-shot, plus 5% multi-shot. Stacks 20 times, so 100% multi-shot. This is an average multi-shot weapon, which means that 100% multi-shot equals 1 extra bullet. Well, 1 extra bullet's pretty decent, especially on the Toxocyst, where like your bullet can ricochet and hit something else. Like 1 bullet's almost 2 bullets. So, Fevered Frenzy is not that bad. Now, it has that caveat where you have to cast abilities. So, like, to get to max stacks, you have to cast 20 abilities. I mean, in endurance and in like level cap, you're probably going to be casting more than 20 abilities the entire time. So like that's not really an issue. But if you're doing quicker runs, Carnage Rain obviously would be better because you're not going to cast 20 abilities in like a 5-minute run. But I don't know. They're super close to each other. They're super close. That 1 extra bullet's super, super nice. But the extra effect of more direct damage per status type when we're already building for that is also really powerful. So this is kind of a toss-up. You could pick either one. I think you'd be happy. Just remember, you actually have to be casting a lot of abilities for Fevered Frenzy to work. All right, I'll make sure yeah, okay. So now we go to the third evolution slot here. This is the one that's kind of boring, and there's really only one option, and that is the negative weapon recoil from Marksman's Hand. The other ones, Evolved Autoloader does not work in the Incarnate, and Ready Retaliation does not work for the Incarnate, so really no reason to pick those two. So we go with the negative weapon recoil, so we get rid of the rest of the recoil, and we don't have to use the eggless mod that gives us negative recoil either. And in the fourth evolution slot, there are 2 good options, but they are 2 completely different builds. So for this build, there is only 1 option. But I still wanted to make note that Ripper Rounds is still very good, but this is a status build pick. And let me try to explain why. So let me take off Commodore's Fortune for a second and just put Ripper Rounds on, okay? So that's the one I went with. Commodore's Fortune increases your base critical chance by plus 20%. Oh, that's pretty good. So let's take it off and just go to Ripper Rounds, and let's look at this critical chance. It goes to 5%. That's right, the dual Toxocyst has really, really bad critical chance. And the Incarnate mode is slightly better, but it's still really bad at 11%. So that's why if you were to go with rip arounds, your build should be more status focused. Status focused builds are still really good. And actually at level cap, they tend to sometimes be better than crit focused builds. They usually won't beat crit focused builds in like normal Steel Path Endurance. But once you get to level cap or very close to it, they do start beating out the crit heavy builds. So there's a reason to use both of these here, like depending on the content you're doing. But again, completely different builds, right? Like for ripper rounds, we don't need all those crit mods that we have on the weapon. We would have to use different mods. So Punch is very powerful on secondaries. It's just that this is a completely different build. So we're not going to be going for ripper rounds. We're going to be going for Commodore's Fortune. Commodore's Fortune puts our base crit to 25% for the non-incarnate and 31% for the incarnate. So that is a normal crit value that where the weapon can work normally as a hybrid weapon. Without this, hell no, it's a status weapon. Now the one in the middle is not good, Neurotoxin. On a headshot, you get 70% toxin for 3 seconds. We're already getting 100% toxin. Why do we need another 70%? I don't know. So I guess if you were going gas maybe and you wanted to have more gas procs, but if you're going to go gas, you might want to just go with the status build anyway. I don't know. I don't like that middle option with Neurotoxic. So we're going to go Commodore's Fortune here. All right. Now I'm going to show this off in 10 minutes of Steel Path Mott. Just show how the weapon works for you guys. Because I don't mix this with any externals, I'm going to be doing this on a big dumb Inaros with no Archon shards that increase weapon performance. No mods or arcanes on the Inaros that increase weapon performance. And with a pet with no sentinel weapon and no mods on the pet that increase weapon performance. Alrighty. That way you guys can make your own decisions about adding those externals. You could be like, hey, Salt put Viral on it, but I'm going to use Nourish, which gives me Viral, and then I can use that mod slot to make Gas, and that way I get Gas and Viral. Damn, that'd be a pretty strong option right there. Then you don't have to pick between Gas and Viral. You just get both of them. So that'd be a pretty decent choice there. So, okay. I'm only going to cast my 3 once in a while for armor and status immunity. And that's about it. We'll get into the gameplay here now.
They have just shut down all systems. I'm sending life support capsules your way.
So it's going to start pretty slow because it's got to get that frenzy buff and like ramp up. And we switch to Incarnate. And we just start slaying. Oh, this is the room that they all get stuck in. I have horrible luck when I do videos with the tile sets that I get. When I do like my test runs, I'll get like really good tile sets, but every single video I get the worst. If I leave those stupid traps up, they'll like hit the enemies and make them like stay in rooms. So this was a redo weapon where we already had this video, like an old video of this up. And we're doing the redo today to kind of fix the build and make it like min-maxed. Again, there's like side grades to this build too, right? Like if you're doing level cap, you might not want to go the crit build, you might want to go the status build. But the crit build will be better for regular endurance, like non-level cap. Don't think that level cap builds are automatically better than everything else. They're not. It's basically a different game. Same thing with Warframes. Like, things get built out completely different. I've thought of doing level cap builds, and I think for weapons it would be fun, but for Warframes it would be boring because basically every Warframe just gets built out the same for level cap. You put Rolling Guard on and that's about it. Unless your Warframe has like some other thing like Mesmer Shield where you don't need it. So I don't think I would ever do Warframe level cap builds because they're kind of boring. And there's not like any intelligence that's needed in a Warframe level cap build. It's just rolling guard and then whatever stats your dude uses. For weapons, there is, though. Like, for weapons, I could see myself maybe doing some level cap weapon build. That could be fun. But there's only a small percentage of the people that actually do level cap in the game. And those dudes usually don't want to see builds anyway. So it's kind of like a niche thing that doesn't have an audience. I think I saw the one red crit we'll probably get this whole time. I don't know exactly like what the crit ends up being. It must be at like 201%, like 1% to get a red, because I barely see those reds. I did just see another one though. Maybe I'll get lucky now because I was talking about it.
Look at them. They come to this place when they know they are not pure.
Yeah, let me know if you would want to see level cap weapon builds. They would be different than regular endurance builds, though. They're not the same. If you use a level cap build on endurance, it's going to be way weaker. So it's like literally just for level cap.
Now I will stop them. Now I am changed, reborn through the energy of the Yanis Key, forever bound.
But that could be fun. I could, there's like one specific game mode where you can get there kind of quick.
These creatures
Quick is in like 2 hours.
by a false prophet,
Because I would do the video by myself, so it'd be like 2 hours to get the level cap.
the secrets
Maybe more.
of the void.
Yeah, there's like one game mode you could do it in 2 hours solo. 2 or 3 hours. Probably 2. Level cap stug build.
When you are ready, go to extraction.
So this week I have 2 Warframe builds. I'm debating on which one to do this week. I have one for this week, one for next week. It's going to be Ember and Frost. And I don't know which one I'm doing yet for this week. So I'm going to put a poll out on the channel. It'll come across like the YouTube, like it was, I don't know, like a Facebook post or something, I guess. You post it on, like, I'll post it on YouTube, but it like, is not a video. It comes across as like a community message or something, I think. So if you're a subscriber, you'll probably get that like little notification that I put something out like that. And I'll just ask Frost or Ember this week, and you guys can decide. And whatever didn't get picked, I'll just do it the week after. So we're gonna get them both done anyway. It's just it'll be, you know, which one you want to see first.
I was cut in half, destroyed, but through its Yanis Key, the void called me. It brought me here, and here I was reborn. This will hurt.
You know what might be a really nasty combo is the dual Toxocyst with the Scourge primary. so you can get headshots to fill up your incarnate. Does that work? I mean, it probably does. I've never tried it though. If you've tried that, let me know. It sounds like it could be a nasty combo. I use the Scourge a lot, but when I used it a lot, I almost never used the alternate fire mode of it. I used like the regular stinky primary mode. I actually really liked the primary mode, and it went with whatever fashion frame I was doing at the time. But I know it's like not optimal, right? Like people usually use the Scourge for its alt fire now, and that's like the opposite of what I was using it for. So I don't actually have a lot of knowledge on the Scourge's alt fire. Someone requested it though, so I'll do a deep dive on it, and I'll have better information when I do that video. But right now, I do not have good knowledge on the Scourge's alt fire, so I'm wondering, it could be a good combo wombo with the dual tox. Yeah, this is an amazingly powerful weapon. This is probably like top 5 weapons in the game. I think it's like Torrid, Dual Tox, Burstin. I'm not much of a melee player, but I've heard the Dual Ichor people like say it's like right up there too, so probably the Dual Ichor. Yeah, I don't know what else. That was only 4 of them. Maybe the boar? I don't know. I would say the boar is up there. I love the boar, but I know some people don't. Some people think of it as a weaker Torrid. But not me, though. For me, the boar is my favorite weapon in the game. That's my number 1. But I know people wouldn't rate it like that. People are going to rate the Torrid number 1. Oh, gotta get some more status immunity on. Get some headshots. Fill up this Toxocyst. There we go. How long was War up for? I didn't even realize he was still up.
I am energy, and I cannot be destroyed.
We have 15 seconds. Let's try to get our kill numbers up. So when we do the tier list, this will be up there where it should be. Hopefully. It's really hard to actually like show the power level of the Toxocyst in regular gameplay. Or even if I was to go to the Simulacrum. Actually, it did pretty good. 1,121. But even if I was to go to the Simulacrum and pull like the biggest enemy, you know, the Exo Ghost Eggs, the 225 Steel Path Exo Ghost Eggs, it's still going to kill him in like 2 headshots. Like, it's crazy. So it's hard to show the power off of this weapon until you're like a couple of thousand levels high. It's just going to delete everything before that. Which, I mean, I guess that shows its power off. It's just that you don't really... You don't get to see how much damage each individual bullet is doing because the dude's just falling over. Alright, so 1,121. Pretty damn good weapon there. Pretty damn good weapon. Super suggested to get this, build it out, get the incarnate for it, build it out, or evolve it, or whatever it's called that you have to do with the incarnates. You'll be very happy. And it's a secondary weapon. A lot of times, a lot of the powerful weapons in the game are the primaries. So it's really cool. There's like a really super, like, top-tier secondary weapon. So, if you guys liked it, consider giving it a like. If you haven't subbed yet, consider subbing, or tell me what I can do to earn your sub. And keep an eye out for that little, like, poll that I'll put out between Ember and Frost for this week. So, you guys have a great day. All right, bye.